Got a fuel line leak, and it is, if I can grab a, I already washed my hands. I'm getting ready to go and get the new fuel line, and it is this line right here that I'm grabbing with this rag. It's leaning up against this braided air line. The air comes off the air compressor and it goes back over the transmission. There's like a check valve that it goes to after it passes over the transmission, goes down to the air dryer into a check valve and goes to the air system from there. But anyway, the fuel line has been rubbing on it, and it's the first time that I have seen a fuel line, which is a soft braided cloth over the fuel line, rubbing on a stainless steel braided air line. I never would have guessed that stainless steel would have worn, or I should say the braided cloth on the fuel line would have worn the stainless steel, and it's got some really sharp pieces of wire sticking out right there where I'm pointing my finger. Might be able to get a close-up on that with the camera, but it has worn that. Unbelievable. See if it gets back into focus there. So yeah, the softer line wore into the braided, and then the braided fragments of braided steel wire were able to cut into the fuel line and put a pinhole in it. Let me start the motor up and show you that pinhole. Oops. I gotta wash my hands again. Anyway, I gotta run up and get the parts, and we'll try to get this on video, changing that. Now, on my particular truck, I have two fuel filters. The fuel pump comes off of the back of the air compressor, and there's an inlet line that goes there, and then the outlet line goes into a fuel filter, a secondary fuel filter, I should say, because here's my fuel pump inlet right here, and here's the outlet here. And anyway, it goes into this fuel filter here, and that line that comes off of that fuel filter, it goes up behind the back of the motor head, and that's where it goes into the injector ports back there to feed the injectors. And I'm going to have to take this air filter assembly off so I can get behind there with a wrench to get at that. Now, if this was a classic instead of an FLD, the firewall would be behind the motor. It would not be sitting on top of it, and I would be able to get at that without taking all this apart. But in my case, I got to take the air filter assembly off so that I can get to the fuel line back there. Won't be able to get camera on it, I don't believe, because it'll be all I can do to feel with my fingers what I'm after, but I'll try. I have a different fuel line. According to the dealer, they printed out a picture. They said that it originally came out with this steel line and this short flex line. I never had it since I've had the truck, and it was 5 years old when I bought it 18 years ago. Anyway, let's see if it fits. In order to get it off, I'm going to use this wheel step that Justin Sturgill sent me, and it's a little bit tall, but I'm okay. I can reach up there. If I couldn't, I'd just put a concrete block or something down there. But I'm up here. Took my air filter out, the filter element, and I'm taking these bolts out. I put top one back in loosely, took the bottom one out. Same over here. I'm using a little 3/8 drive M12. It's a 12 volt Milwaukee. I'm using a wobble extension and a 9/16 socket in my case. Everybody's truck's going to be a little different. The wobble extension is getting me at the angle I need to be at, and a 9/16 end wrench. Got one more to go, and let me get that out here. It's been a long time since I've had this air filter off or anything, and I just found out, I'm sure I knew it before but I don't remember, that the air filter and this grid up here are one of a kind. They're the same part, and I was going to try to just take the filter off and throw it over this tank here, this antifreeze tank here, but it's not going to work, so I'm going to have to loosen up this and take this rubber boot off of here. Got the clamp loose, slid back out of the way a little bit. Now I'm just prying this thing loose with a screwdriver, a little at a time. Let me get both hands on it and get that, wiggle that off of there. Got that off, had to pick it up and kind of twist it 90 degrees, pull it off of there. This grid here goes with it. I'll just leave that laying up here for now. And I need to bring some light out here with me because I can't see behind the head to get to the fuel line. It's starting to get dark out here. Sun's already down pretty much. I got the shop lights on here. I got a drop light there, but I'm not going to be able to get the camera. I don't know if I can get the camera down where. I can't get an eyeball on it, but the camera might actually fit where the fuel line is leaking. And it's that dark one down there inside that. It's right down here in front of my fingertip. That's the one down there we got to get to. So it's one of those things where hopefully I don't have to take a bunch of stuff off to get there. This wiring right here, that goes to the injectors and the Jake brake on top of the head. And the other fuel line, there's two of them. There's that one there that feeds fuel up here, and there's the other one that comes off the other side of it, or kind of straight down from it. We can't really see it yet because it's you got to lift this wire harness, and there's another fuel line that comes off of another fitting that's right there, and that's the return. That takes the fuel back to the tank that's not being used. So I got to get in here and try to get a wrench off. There's no point in trying to videotape doing that. That's just what I got to do. I got that fitting loose with a 3/4 open-end wrench. The new one is going to take a 13/16, but that's if I can even get that up there. If I can't, this thing has gone to telescopic again. The zoom button is in my way sometimes, and I hit that by accident. Sorry. Yeah, that metal one that's sitting on the step there, I don't know if I'm going to manage to get that in place or not, because the brass fitting that comes out the back of the head, I don't have any, really don't have access to that. I put that in when the head was on the ground, when I had the engine apart, and I don't know if the angle of it is something I can get at to change. It's well, you can see there's very little room back there, and it's about a foot down below behind that, and my body is kind of between this thing here and this tank here, and It's kind of a painful position to be in. Now I'm going to go and get the other end of the line down here by the fuel filter. I'm going to go and get that off. I'm sorry I won't be able to get the camera down there while I'm doing it. You just have to do it without the camera. I think I can get the camera on it. That's the starter, of course, right there, and I got a drop light here. And my fuel shutoff is that yellow thing right there, and we are like underneath that is the fitting, and I'm not going to be able to take it off with the camera, but I'm reaching underneath the frame. Reaching underneath the frame here, and I had the wrench on it, and I was able to see it from on top here, but I got to reach under the frame. There's my wrench. See it there? And so it's underneath that fuel shutoff, but that's in my case. Trucks are a lot of times different. I might need two hands to break that loose. That's where I'm at. Got the fuel line off, that's it right there. And the new one, according to the diagram, is going to go on like this behind the motor. And it's going to come out in front here over the starter. I don't know if I got room to get that thing there. Or does it come out over? I don't know if it comes out over the starter. There's no starter on the picture, so it's hard to say. Looks like it's going to bolt right onto the block. I really don't want to have this kind. I'd rather have what I took off of there. At least I can work with that. This thing here, all those hoses and wire bundles and everything, this is supposed to go on underneath all of that. That's going to be quite a challenge. And then this line here goes on underneath the fuel pump. That's the one I just took off under the fuel pump, that 90 right there. And then this end here would screw, I think it's going to screw into this. Gotta make sure it's going to do that. But I can't get this stuff dirty. I got to make sure it's going to fit without getting it dirty. I'm still going to try to put this up there, and I just put a piece of tape on it underneath this fitting to try to keep that up there, because it's going to try to slide down where I probably won't be able to reach it. And I'm going to put this cap back on it as best as I can without putting it on too tight, because it's going to be very awkward to get in there with a finger or two and try to get that off of there and see if I can thread this on. Here we are the next day, about halfway into the next day. I'm just now getting back from having a hose made up. I had to do a lot of driving, make a lot of contacts in order to find this hose, and had to go to an industrial supply and have it made up. Couldn't get it done right here in the area. So got it done. It cost about I think it was $51, and getting ready to put it on, because at the dealer they said something about that metal tube that that they're kind of known for vibrating and getting cracks and wear spots in them where they're fastened onto the side of the block. So that, along with how much extra work it was going to be to put it on, I just would rather go with this hose. But look at how much time I got invested in getting the hose. I could have had all of this other work done by now. It would have cost me a couple of hours extra work, but I could have had that original stuff installed by now. Anyway, I'm going to put this hose on same way I took it off. I got the hose started. I got it screwed on to the fitting in the back of the head, but it's not tight, because I want to be able to rotate it, since this has a 90-degree on this end. I want to be able to rotate it so that I can get this to fit without having to put a twist in the hose. And this is going to go down here underneath the fuel filter, pretty much right under that yellow on and off valve there for the fuel. Got that hose on there, that fuel line, got it tight. In the back it was not easy, it was uncomfortable. This bracket here was really digging hard in my rib cage. If I was a big fellow, I may not have been able to do that. Now I got a zip tie. I don't want this thing riding against the frame right there. I'll zip tie it over here and keep it off of things that could rub a hole in it. And no point in recording the rest of it. I'm just going to put the air filter back on. And when I start it up, it might have to crank for a few minutes to get the air out of the system. It won't, not a few minutes, but maybe 30 seconds. And it'll fire up then. Alright, thanks for watching.